All right, let's get right into it. Today, we're talking about a real giant in the world of psychology, Erich Fromm. Now, Fromm was trained as a classic Freudian analyst, but he found himself asking a question that, for someone in his position, it was kind of dangerous. He started asking himself, why am I so bored? And the answer to that question, it was going to change everything about how he saw therapy. And this quote, man, it's the whole key right here. Fromm had this light bulb moment where he realized that the strict, by-the-book Freudian process was actually turning living, breathing people into objects, into things to be studied. By not being in touch with the life of his patients, he wasn't just bored, he felt like he was failing them. He knew that real healing just can't happen when there's this huge, detached clinical wall between two people. So yeah, let's start right there, with Fromm's big problem. He kicked off his career as what they called an orthodox Freudian analyst. He knew all the rules, all the techniques, but deep down, he just felt like something was fundamentally missing from this very structured, almost sterile approach. This chart really gets to the heart of the revolution Fromm was starting. I mean, look at the left side. That's the old way. All about technique. The analyst is this distant, all-knowing authority figure, and the patient is just a subject. But Fromm wanted to completely flip that script. He said, no. Therapy has to be about the human relationship itself. It's got to be an interaction between two real, actual people. So all this dissatisfaction wasn't just for nothing. It pushed him to create his own system, something he called Humanistic Psychoanalysis. This was his big answer to that problem of disconnection he was feeling. It was a whole new path, and at its center was this one crucial thing, the search for self-knowledge. And here's the main takeaway from that. For Fromm, the goal of therapy wasn't just, fixing a symptom or checking a box. The real goal was to help a person truly, deeply come to know themselves. Because he was convinced that without that deep self-awareness, you can't ever genuinely connect with or understand anyone else in your life. It all starts with you. Okay, so if the goal is self-knowledge, how in the world do you get there? Well, for Fromm, the answer was right there in the room. It was the therapeutic relationship itself. He saw it as this incredible opportunity to help meet our most fundamental, core human needs. So what does drive us to therapy, according to Fromm? It's not usually just one specific problem. He believed that people show up because they're trying, on a much deeper level, to satisfy this set of universal needs that, for whatever reason, have gone unmet in their lives. And Fromm, he pinpointed 5 of these core needs that really drive us. First up is relatedness. That's our need to connect with other people to overcome feeling isolated. Then there's transcendence, which is our urge to be more than just passive creatures, to actually become creators in our own lives. Third is rootedness, that desire to feel like we belong, to feel at home in the world. Fourth, a sense of identity, which is all about knowing who we are as unique individuals. And finally, a frame of orientation. We all need a kind of stable map or worldview to make sense of everything. Fromm believed that the real work of therapy was helping people satisfy these deep, universal longings. So what's the therapist's main tool? It's not some complicated psychoanalytic technique. Nope. It's the relationship itself, one that's built on, as he says, utter concentration and utter sincerity. The therapist has to show up as a genuine, fully present human being. Fromm was absolutely convinced that it's only inside that kind of authentic connection that a patient can finally feel safe enough to start the real work of self-discovery. But to get to this really deep level of communication, Fromm knew he needed a way to access the parts of ourselves that we don't always consciously understand. And this search led him to what he called the only truly universal language that human beings have ever developed. So, how did he actually do it? I mean, if you're just two people sitting in a room, how do you get past the day-to-day chatter and tap into that profound, universal part of the human experience? How do you really get to that deep self-knowledge? He did it by listening to dreams. But it wasn't just dreams. He also looked at myths and fairy tales. Fromm saw all of these things as expressions of a symbolic language that connects every single one of us, a language that goes way beyond culture or our own individual lives. But, and this is super important, Fromm was not some simple, this means that dream dictionary kind of guy. He knew that context is everything. A universal symbol like fire, for example, could mean warmth and comfort, or it can mean total destruction. An accidental symbol might just be about a book you happened to read before you fell asleep. And a regional symbol, like the sun, means something totally different to someone in rainy London than it does to someone in the Sahara Desert. To understand the dream, you first had to understand the dreamer's entire world. And all of this brings us right back to the one core principle at the heart of Fromm's entire philosophy. It was this radical, fundamental shift away from seeing a person as just a collection of symptoms to seeing them first and always as a human being. And this is just such a powerful warning against that clinical detachment. Fromm is arguing that the second a therapist starts to see a patient as just an illness to be cured or a thing to be fixed, the potential for real human connection, and because of that, real healing, is just gone. For him, this was the original sin of the old orthodox approach. And here's the rest of that thought, the punchline. The therapist's real job is to see the patient as a fellow person who is struggling with the exact same fundamental human needs that they are, that all of us are. It's just a profound call for empathy and for putting our shared humanity right at the center of the entire healing process. And that kind of leaves us with a really critical question for our time, doesn't it? In our modern world, which is so focused on data, on diagnostics, on efficiency, what do we really gain? Or maybe, what are we at risk of losing by not putting that simple, sincere human connection at the very heart of everything we do? Something to think about.